So up until now, we were working with the mega inventory. We called that endpoint inventory, and if we look at the data which are actually coming in, it's not just the inventory data. Mega inventory gives you a lot more than that. If we download the source data which we are getting from the mega inventory, you can see that there is, just put it on a screen. You can see that there's a lot more than that. You have basically the product information in it as well. Yeah, there's pretty much everything we need to create a product in WooCommerce. All the videos I've done before were basically using the existing product which I've created manually, and I linked it by the SKU. So I put in MV test product, and in inventory in here I specify the SKU, and we were updating this one product. Now if we look at the list of products which are coming from Mega Inventory, you can see there's 9 of them. There's 9 products coming out of Mega Inventory, and we're just updating one. All the other ones, all the other 8 products, they don't have matching SKU in WooCommerce, so WooCommerce simply skips them. So what if we want to create these products in WooCommerce? Okay, so we have the source set up, and right now it's updating, well, not only inventory, we've changed it, but let's say it would be updating only inventory in here in our case. So it would have just the SKU and the stock quantity, nothing else. These 3 fields are not needed at all. So how do we create a product in WooCommerce? So we need to add an endpoint to this WooCommerce container, which has already been authorized. If it's not authorized, you can go into the settings and enter your consumer and secrets key for the WooCommerce API. So what we need to do is basically look at the WooCommerce API documentation for creating a product. So on the product, you have create a product. You can see it's a post method with this resource URI, and we get some sample request which we need to make to actually create the product. So let's go ahead and let's set this up. So first of all, we need to add another endpoint, and we call it the product, and it's a destination because we're creating products, we're pushing data into it to create products, and it's an API. Hit OK. Then we need to configure the API endpoint. So the configuration will be almost the same as the previous one, so I can just copy this URL and I can put it here, and I just need to change the resource URI to this endpoint. And that's changed. The method is post, which is coming from the WooCommerce API, and we save the settings. Now we need to define a data layout for it, otherwise you wouldn't be able to connect it. So if you're trying to create a link, you can, like if I click on this product and I want to, it doesn't have a data layout defined even. This one does not either, but this one does. So if you want to create a link, you hit create a link, and all these different endpoints which you can actually connect to this endpoint are highlighted. So if I hit the job and I want to reuse the data coming from the source and I want to apply it to this endpoint, you can see that if I hit add endpoint in this case, it's not highlighted, so I can't connect it. That means there is no data layout, it's not ready to be connected. So going back, we open up that data layout page. It's a JSON, and this is basically the request which we need to make. So I'll just grab that. and I will use the editor and paste the sample in it and hit OK. DSYNC generates the data layout based on the sample, and we will make some changes to it. As you can see, there is some multiple images array underneath that. There are some categories, short description, title, type, and so on. What we want to put in, because this sample doesn't have all the data we probably need, so we'll have a look at the response. The response is more descriptive, so you can see actually all these fields are available to you to actually create the product. So okay, let's go back, let's have a look at this. So we have title, we have type. I don't see a SKU in here, so we need to definitely add the SKU in. And that could be all, I think, for now. So let's just add the SKU in. I know it's text, and this is coming directly from the WooCommerce API documentation again. It's right here. So these fields basically need to match the name of the field. They need to match. So I'm putting in SKU, which is a text field. Let's add it in. Put it underneath the title. Regular price, we can leave this as it is. I'm not sure if the categories are coming from Megaventory. Product description. Oh yeah, we have product categories here. We'll see what it does. We can map the product category description on it, and we'll see what happens. Okay, so let's save this. And now to the important part. So as you can see from the data coming in from Megaventory, if you have a look at the structure of the data, the JSON, it is an array. It's multiple products, and each product has its own details on it. Now, obviously, if we take this source data and try to send it to WooCommerce, it's not gonna work because WooCommerce is expecting only one product. It's just the product with the details, nothing else. So you can only send and create one product at a time in WooCommerce with this endpoint. So what we need to do, we actually need to get the source data from Megaventory and split it into individual pieces, into individual products, these ones here, all 9 of them, and then go through the mapping, map it, and then send the request for the product creation to WooCommerce one by one. So how do we do this? So you could see, if I go to the data layout of the Megaventory here, you can see on each data layout you have this batch splitter here. And batch splitter is exactly what you can use to actually split the array of data as per the Megaventory product stock list in here. So it allows you to split it, process it individually, and send it to the target system individually. So how do we do this? The batch splitter, the important thing to kind of know is that the batch splitter happens before the data layout. So if we go in here, the source data layout, DSYNC initiates call to the source system, and the source system responds comes back to DSYNC, the first thing which will run, if it's enabled, is the batch splitter. And it will split it based on the settings, on the configuration, and then it's mapped to the source data layout. Which means that if we split this, we will end up with individual pieces of products with only the data underneath this main MV product stock list fields or array. So you'll end up with only these fields underneath, starting with the product ID. And that needs to reflect on our data layout as well. So in this case, I'll enable the batch splitter. It gives you the optional tree key. Now the optional tree key relates to the top level field, which contains the array of these elements. For us, what this means is, if we have a look at the data, this MV product stock list contains the array of 9 products in there. That's what's coming in from Megaventory. So what I need to do, I need to specify that this field, this name, holds the array of products for me, and that's the tree key. So I just put it in. So that's the first step. The second step is, as mentioned previously, because this happens before the data is mapped onto this data layout, we need to get rid of this product stock list field, and what we are left with is just the data underneath the one object in there. So I need to go in and, like, if I hit delete on this field, I get rid of everything on the data layout, because it's an object and all these different fields underneath are basically children of this main object. And you can kind of, if you drag it, you can kind of see what this MV product stock list holds. That's a one piece. So if I go in and delete this, everything's gonna be gone. So we actually need to take these fields and put it one level up, one level on the hierarchy when we're talking about parents and children. So how it's done in DSYNC and in the data layout, you just put it, you drag it, basically you drag it either on top or it's actually, that's the best thing to do. Just drag it over the field on top, and we need to do this for all these fields. So where he, so I'll grab this, need to drag the MV stock on the top. We don't need the response status. I could just leave it in there, but we don't need it at this stage. And we drag, whoops. Is this still holding it? Yeah, it is. So I just need to put it there. Or actually, the easier thing, because we have the data in here, I can just clear this and just take what's underneath the one product. So basically, I would go in and say I just want this first element in the array. And that's gonna basically give me, here we go. So I believe that's it. That's gonna give me basically the structure underneath the product stock list. Let's see if I copied it correctly. Pretty sure I did. Yeah, product ID, MV product, then we should have the stock as we do MV stock and stock physically. Yeah, okay, that's all good. So that's our batch splitter set up. So we save that. Obviously we'll need to do another mapping. We'll go back and just for now I'll actually remove this mapping link connection, and because I've changed the data layout completely, so this will no longer work. But what we'll do, we just create a link between this inventory and product. So this is our product create, and we will define a new mapping for it, and it's gonna be megaventory products to WooCommerce product create. Using a batch splitter, we open up the mapping and we get all the fields as per the destination data layout, which we've generated from the sample WooCommerce in there. And now we can just go in and map these things. So title, I'm not sure what to map there. It's gonna be the product name, I believe. And we don't have a product name, really. We don't have a product name in Megaventory. What do we put in? Let me have a look at the Megaventory. You can put in the SKU, or product description. Yeah, I think the product description is a good fit in here because that's the simple one, and then long description would be normal description. Okay, so we go product description in a title. We have SKU type. So product, if we look at product properties and the type, these are the available types in there, and it defaults to simple. So I can easily just put the default value in without mapping anything. So on the type, we just put the default simple, just key that in. Regular price, we map to our, let's go with the selling price. Description will be the product long description. Short description, I don't think we have short description in here. No, we don't. So we don't even need to map this. If we wanted to put in something, I would probably put in the long description again, but why duplicating it? So we don't have to even send the field to WooCommerce, so I just disable that field. It's not gonna be sent to WooCommerce. Categories. So we have some product category, and we have product category name in here. So we can put it in. Let's see what it does. And images. It's the source and position. So if we look at WooCommerce images, they should be somewhere in here. Images, list of product images, see image properties. So we'll click on the properties. What do we have here? So we have the ID created and updated at source. So that's an image URL. Okay, so we need a full URL where the image is, and position 0 means that the image is featured. Let's have a look at the data which are coming in from Megaventory. We have just one image in here, so we'll hardcode the position and we can put the image URL straight in. So let's put it in there. Source product image URL, and the position we will hardcode. We'll put in number 1. It is an integer, I believe. It's a number. It is. So it's going to be 0, 1, 2, 3, and so on. Because we have just one image, it will, like any update in Megaventory to the image, will always override the WooCommerce image. So there will be only one image on that product every single time, and that's what we want in this case. And that's our mapping done. So I can just save this, and we are ready to test this out. So let's see, run this. And you can see it's running multiple times, and that's caused by the batch splitter. Basically, it takes all the 9 products and it's running them one by one, and you can kind of see when my computer starts to respond. There we go. That it actually ran multiple times. So we should have 9 jobs in total in here at the same time. We can see that one failed, and that's gonna be probably the one which I've created manually previously, because you can't create basically the same product twice. So let's have a look at it. Let's have a look at the log here. What does it say? SKU already exists. So exactly, that was the product which I've created manually. So WooCommerce is rejecting it. But other than that, all the other 8 products in there should be now in WooCommerce. So if we have a look into WooCommerce, that's our pre-existing product. And here we go. There are some DVDs. So we have all these new products just created. And yeah, it's all hunky-dory. So let's have a look what we mapped. Yeah, okay. We did not map the inventory, I believe, but it would be as easy as adding the field onto the data layout and map it in here as per the previous mapping we've done. But yeah, that's pretty much the batch splitter functionality.